This is Ken. I am back with another vlog, video log slash travel blog post. So first of all, as I record this today, it is friggin' freezing here. I live in the St. Louis metropolitan area, and it's a balmy 5 degrees outside right now. Yes, 5 degrees as is the high. And snowed earlier a couple inches, and we are now awaiting more snowfall. So as you can see, the crashing waves behind me in the background there are definitely on my mind. Actually, next up for the lovely Mrs. Rossix, Christina, and I is a trip to Cabo with going down there with a couple good friends to check out some of our condos and investment opportunities that we have down there. So very much looking forward to that. And then immediately thereafter, we're turning around pretty quick and going back to the Dominican Republic, Punta Cana at Secrets Tides. That's so like a mini group trip. There's 8 of us going to that one, so that'll be nice. Anyway, sorry I digress. The point and topic of today's post is airfares. How do I find the cheapest airfares? So we get this question a lot, and I myself spend a lot of time trying to figure out what the cheapest airfare is. So just let's take a step back for a second on the airfare. Very challenging now, as everyone has experienced over the last couple of years. Inflation has been out of control, spurred in large part by stupid people in power. But I won't get on the soapbox there. But regardless, that inflation affects every single industry, especially airline, cruises, the travel industry for sure, especially all-inclusive resorts because they get hit from every direction when it comes to inflation, right? There's the food, there's the salaries for their people, there's the cleaning supplies, there's all sort of they get hit every single area of operations they get hit. So anyway, as an aside, um, airfares increased 30% in 2022. Now, this is coming off of the heels of COVID, right? So obviously they were trying to recoup some obvious losses that they had when things were shut down in various parts of the world for what 18 to 24 months, depending on what draconian area you were in. So obviously, common sense tells you that the prices are going to go up. Um, but interestingly enough, the prices have not come down. And the main reason they haven't come back down and stabilized is because of just inflation across, and not only just in the United States, by the way, this probably was exacerbated here in the United States because we had no common sense. But around the world, inflation has been an issue too, not just here in the United States. So because of that, the flight prices, all prices, but flight prices we're talking about here in particular, have stayed high. So how can you try to find the best deals? So one thing that you can do is to try to, which I don't actually have. I've got some text if you want to read the blog post. I didn't actually put this in here, but this is another tip. You can actually try to bundle your bookings with flight and resorts. Like so, if you're going to like we do, the secrets all inclusives, you can try to bundle that together for some savings. Now that might that might work for you. Sometimes though, the bundled airfare is not great. The times aren't great. You gotta you have to leave at 0 dark 30. You don't get down there until 4:30 p.m. or 5 at night, and then you got to leave at 9:30 in the morning or some nonsense on the way back, and blah blah blah. So they're like crappy things that are kind of packaged in the bookings. And if you want to change to better flight itineraries, then that costs you more. So then you kind of lose the bundle discount, so to speak. But anyway, that's one thing you could try to do. We typically don't. Well, actually, we don't. we can't do bundled inside of our vacation club. So we just book the room and then we book the flights separately. There are some flight charters and stuff that we can book through the vacation club, but they're limited in scope, especially from where we are here in St. Louis, flying at a STL. Anyway, I digress. So let's focus on what anybody can do to lower the potential airfare. So the very first thing we'd recommend is to join an airline's rewards program. So Southwest has Rapid Rewards. American Airlines has A Advantage. I can't remember. Delta's what the Sky Miles or whatever it is, right? You can join that. Typically, it's free to join that, and then you can accumulate points. Many times, this is a good option, even if you don't travel very much, because they give the members, the Rapid Rewards people or the A Advantage people, they give them special deals and discounts that they don't send out to the regular public, the general public. So it's a good idea to do that. Also, too, I highly recommend getting a rewards travel card or a travel card that has points, and you can convert the points then into whatever you want. But we highly recommend getting a specific travel credit card that meets your needs, right? Kind of depends on how much you travel and what you want to do. Chase Sapphire Reserve is a great one. High annual fees on that though, but if you travel a lot, it may be worth it. We have the World of Hyatt. Obviously, we're World of Hyatt members. Hyatt owns our vacation club, so it was obviously World of Hyatt credit card members where we get World of Hyatt points, which we can then transfer into American Airlines is a World of Hyatt partner, so that we use that. So anyway, we recommend doing that. If you want kind of a generic one, the Capital and Venture card is a good one, a good generic card to have that's has a lot of flexibility with how you can use the points. So we recommend joining the actual airline rewards program, number one, and then number two, getting a good travel card that you can use, and you can convert those points, and you can buy your air directly with those points, or you can book your air inside your travel credit card. And then it doesn't cost you anything out of pocket and just use your points, right? So you want to try to accumulate points. That's probably the best, most consistent way to reduce your costs is to use the reward program credit card points. Okay. We have been doing that a lot, as you might expect lately. So uh, the other thing to do is to search the flights. You have to do some homework if you're going to try to find the cheapest rates, right? You have to maybe put some calendar reminders in and book things in there. But there are free online search engines. Like Google Flights is a good one, actually. You can do Kayak, Hopper, all the stuff is free where you can set up a recurring search and it'll send notifications to you when a fare changes or there's a better itinerary, or you can just we recommend that you use the flexible date option. Like if you haven't booked in the resort or the hotel yet, use the flexible date option so that you can get the best possible discount there, the cheapest fare. Also, too, if you can travel midweek, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, especially, even Thursdays, but Tuesday and Wednesday especially, almost exclusively without um, almost exclusively are cheaper and lower in prices than obviously on the weekends. Now I say that, and I have seen some Saturday to Saturday flights at specific tourist locations, like from St. Louis to Cancun or St. Louis to Puerto Vallarta or things like that. I have seen some Saturday to Saturday flights that were really good deals, even cheaper than Thursday to Thursday or Monday to Monday, those sorts of things. But typically speaking, if you can travel during the week, if you can do Tuesday to Tuesday or Wednesday to Wednesday, you're going to get a cheaper flight. All right. Obviously, the Captain Obvious one is to avoid peak seasons and travel times, right? We already know that. Um, and so you can set up price alerts too, like I said, the notifications, set those up. And here is a bonus pro tip at no additional charge for everybody. When you are searching your flights, whether it's using Google Flights or you're on American Airlines, you're on Southwest or Delta or whatever you're on to, use the incognito or private mode of your web browser. Okay. We also highly recommend that you use a VPN, a virtual virtual private network so that they can't track your location. Also, too, what they're going to do is they're going to put cookies onto your or tracking items, and they're going to know that you continue. So if you continue to go back like 4 or 5 days in a row and do the same search from St. Louis to Cancun, St. Louis to Cancun, they know that you're interested in going from St. Louis to Cancun, and they're going to tend to actually increase the price on you because they know that you want to book, right? And so they're going to do that. So if you use the private or incognito mode, they won't be able to trace that. And if you use the VPN and change your locations, actually, sometimes um, I use a VPN, and let's say I have my VPN set up to show that I am connecting from Phoenix, Arizona. Sometimes the fares, when I look up the fares from St. Louis to Cancun, for example, and then I actually take my phone and I go to, say, the Southwest app and I look fares up from St. Louis to Cancun. The same, right? The same search has a different price, right? It has a different price. And so sometimes searching from different locations in the country can actually give you changes in prices. A VPN can allow you to do that actually too. So we recommend that. Just as an aside, we recommend ExpressVPN. That's what we use. There's a link in the text if you want to go grab 30 days free and try ExpressVPN out. All right. Um, here's the item that has kind of let me down in the past 12 to 18 months. Typically, you want to book in advance. So if you're going in a domestically, like inside the United States, you want to go like 1 to 3 months out to book it to find the best fares, generally speaking. And if you're going internationally, you want 3 to 6 months out. Okay, this has not held true in recent flights. In fact, Christine and I got burned on our Cozumel trip last June on this too. We were about 9 months out. The fares were about 700 a piece. I think it was like 689 or something like that, which I thought were too high because the previous time we went to Cozumel, they were $323 a person. I shit you not. So the price that we saw was nearly double that, was actually more than double that. And it was like, okay, we're just gonna wait a little bit and wait. And it's like, we're still pretty, we're not in that 3 to 6 month window. Like I know the 3 to 6 month window. We're not in the 3 to 6 month window. Well, of course, when we got to the 3 to 6 month window, the price was $950 a person. And it never went cheaper than that. Never went cheaper than that. And I check a lot. I check a lot. So sometimes that doesn't work and you can get burned. That's why maybe you want to set up those searches and those notifications in the Google Flights or wherever you're doing. But generally speaking, domestic 1 to 3 months out, international 3 to 6 months out, as was a decent rule of thumb. It's been a little dicey lately, but there you go. Also, too, if you want to advance your searching and your notifications, um, outside of the free Google Flights and Kayak and all that stuff too, we recommend site like going.com, used to be called Scott's Cheap Flights. Um, you have to become a member of the site. There are free levels of membership if you want, to try it out too. There's a link there for our going link that can give you some extra perks if you want to try it out. Um, they are a little more aggressive in finding the right things that meet your needs and the right price at the right time. And they'll send you a notification saying, book now. Like this is a great flight. They also kind of comb the airwaves there, especially for the flight, the itinerary you're looking for, or the St. Louis to Cancun that you're looking for, so to speak, because there are errors. There are errors that are made in flights, like system glitches and things like that. It happens more than you think because so much is automated nowadays. And so these sites, like going.com, are pretty good at finding those for you. So it might be worth trying that if you want to. And one last item on the booking timeline. So you book in advance, but also too, it is a true statement that flights vary on a day-to-day basis. So if you're looking on Wednesday, it's X price, and if you're looking at Thursday, it's usually X plus Y price, right? For whatever reason. And then when it comes back to Tuesday or Wednesday of the next week, the price goes back down again. So Tuesday or Wednesday is the gurus, what the gurus say as the cheapest ones. They also say to try to get on like between midnight and 1 a.m. in the airline's home office, right? Headquarters, and that airline's headquarters. So for Delta, it's Atlanta. So you want to get on it at midnight Eastern time, Tuesday or Wednesday, if you're trying to kind of hack the system a little bit too. Remember the systems update, whether it's a financial system or an airline system, they typically update overnight, right? When it switches to the next day, they typically update things and go on from there. So you can sometimes sneak in there and get some deals. I haven't personally done that, but I hear that that is indeed the case. So, all right, moving on. You can try to use budget airlines like a Frontier, Spirit, JetBlue, et cetera, et cetera. Um, we've used budget airlines before. They're okay. They nickel and dime the hell out of you, right? They charge you for bottled water. I thought they might charge me for the air I was breathing. I wasn't sure. It did irritate me a bit, but they'll charge you for your carry-on, your check bag, by the way, which might only have a 35 or a 40-pound limit, not 50 like the other airlines to do, by the way. They charge you for your seat assignment because if you don't want to pay for your seat, that's fine. They'll just put you in a seat, but they'll put your wife in the aisle seat of row 15 and they'll put you in the aisle seat of row 36, like purposely, unless you pay to have seats together and whatnot. So it gets a little old, but regardless of all those, extra fees, so you got to kind of look at those extra fees, it still may be cheaper. Like we still had really, really good deals on a couple of discount airlines from St. Louis. And they were actually nonstop. St. Louis to Cancun was one of them. And so it was good from that perspective, even though the nickel and diming is a little irritating. So you can try that as well. And another option, if it's available, is to try to search prices from other nearby airports. So here in the St. Louis area, we don't really have any nearby airports. Like it's not really convenient for me to drive to Chicago. Um, or Kansas City for that matter, or Memphis, right, or Nashville, right, which are the next major international hubs around us. Um, but you might try like a smaller regional airport. Sometimes there are good deals from there. If you happen to be in an area that, maybe if you live down in Tennessee, you're just as close to Nashville International as you are to Memphis. So you might check and see what those are. If you live here in the middle of Missouri, right, you can check St. Louis and you can check Kansas City MCI for your rates too. So we suggest doing that. And then sometimes you can try to do ticket hacks. Now, again, this takes time and effort, right? You can try 2 one-way tickets instead of a round trip. You can try looking at pricing one way on one airline, one way back on a different airline. Sometimes they give some cut rates just to try to fill the seats. There are sometimes last minute deals with airlines, although not a lot. So you could try things like that. But of course, if you're a member, going back to our original one, join a rewards program from an airline, then you don't want to mix airlines and have two different airlines unless you're a member of rewards for both of them, perhaps. All right. So just some tips and tricks, right? Finding the best airline deal is near and dear to our heart. Um, so hopefully this helps. If you have any questions about that, feel free to contact us. Otherwise, next, we will see you in the next blog post.